Good morning, guys. It is officially peak week. So it is just after 6 in the morning here in Sydney. We just got our posing done for the day and hit a pretty low weight, which I'm quite happy with. So we did just come off the back of a refeed. If you didn't see that video, I did record it where we had over 1,200 grams of carbs spanning over for pretty much 2 days, and weight did not really move at all. So this morning back into the 90s, which is good because my weight cap for bodybuilding is in that 90 mark. So super stoked to see that. Hopefully it means that the quicker we drop a little bit more, I can start refeeding a bit early. So peak week obviously entails trying to bring the best out of the physique, making sure that we pretty much de-stress and essentially relax now. The hard work is pretty much done. A few more training sessions still to go, but more sort of pump up sessions, really low sort of volume, just to try and get a little bit of blood in the muscle. You guys will be coming along for that today. I'm actually going to train fasted very soon. Just about to send off all my checking stuff to my coach. Just doing the normal health stuff that I do every single morning, regardless of whether I'm in prep or not. This is something that I keep as a staple in my morning routine because we want to make sure that, we can bodybuild safely and healthily for as long as possible. So yeah, a few check-ins to do today as well. It's going to be a pretty busy day actually, but I did get good sleep. So one thing that has tapered off in the last few days has just been overall ped usage. So I'll be completely transparent with you guys as well. So at the moment, we're just currently running a bit of test, literally at 200 milligrams. So that's just been dropped, and primo at 600. So not too much going on there. We just pulled trend, cleanse come down a lot as well, just to let the body start to essentially clear out, because as soon as we finish this show, we will be kicking straight into a health phase after getting bloods done and then reassessing and seeing how we go about the rebound. But at the moment, it's all about trying to relax, be stress-free, enjoy the final few days leading up to the show and really be present in the moment, because that's what this is about. And if anything that this prep has taught me so far, it's the importance of being present and not getting caught up in the whole, just the whole mix of things with how busy life is and what other people think of you and all that. It was funny actually, I had a wedding 2 days ago, and me being me, I had to bring my esky with me because it was the start of peak week. It was also a refeed day, so I had to make sure that I'm pretty much lining everything up to align with my goals. In saying that though, I wanted to be absolutely present at the wedding because it was one of my best friends. I was actually grateful and lucky enough to be a groomsman. And it wasn't about the food for me. My food is my food, my goals are my goals. But it's just funny how, some of the perceived looks that you get from people that don't really understand what it is that you're doing. I'm walking around with an esky full of food and you get funny looks, and I'm asking the staff at the venue to heat up my chicken, rice and pineapple and bring it out to me on a plate. And it's like you're a bit of a freak, but at the end of the day, not everyone is going to understand your goals. Not everyone is going to, and they don't have to either. Because at the end of the day, if you know that what you are doing makes you happy and you get genuine joy out of it, and as a result, it allows you to become the person that you want to be, and essentially you get gratification out of that, you get a sense of achievement out of that. It doesn't matter what other people think of you, and that's something that I've come to realize more recently, especially as I've gotten more involved in bodybuilding and just, adapted to that lifestyle of that consistent regimented routine, which most people wouldn't necessarily be able to do, or they wouldn't, seem to get enjoyment out of it. Whereas I love it, I thrive in it. I feel that it's helped align me and help me in other areas of life, especially when it comes to my own coaching and looking after my own clients, just being able to manage everything as well as still working a full-time job. It's done a world of wonders for me, and it's something that I want to continue to improve on, because bodybuilding is all about improvement. That's why it's so important that the skills that we learn in bodybuilding, they overlay into other areas of life. It's not just about lifting weights, it's not just about getting up on stage, it's about the constant refinement and improvement of yourself as a man and as a person, or a woman, if that's what you choose to do, and not being consumed in the competition sense of things. Because at the end of the day, you're only on stage for 5 minutes, not even. Once you do that, it's done and dusted. So don't look at the stage as the end goal. Look at the result of you developing over the last couple of years, the prep itself. What lessons have you learned? What adversities have you gone through? And that's where the real journey is made. And that's definitely what I found this prep specifically. And I did make a few, little reels about this, about talking about the biggest lesson that I've learned during this prep is that comparison is the ultimate thief of joy, and you shouldn't compare yourself to others, no matter where they are in their journey. It's your own journey. You need to run your own race and essentially figure it out yourself. And that's when the real happiness comes, or the real results come, when you start figuring things out for yourself, when you start really, taking these little small wins and realizing at the end of the day, I've just been through a situation, I've just been through an adversity, and I've actually not reacted how I thought I would have. And, having a routine that's kept me so structured, maybe that's helped me actually do that and react like that, or not react like that. So anyway, enough rambling from me, guys. I'm going to finish off my morning health subs and whatnot. We are going to train fasted this morning because I do have a big day. So we will see you guys as I'm making up my subs, and then we'll see you guys at the gym. Now, because we are training fasted, one of the most important things that anyone that trains fasted should do, you should be doing this in the morning anyway, and I have spoken about it in my previous videos, hydration. So I've already just had a whole shaker worth of some electrolytes. So this product here, Hydromax by Strom, is a really good product. It's got vitamin C, cranberry, dandelion, cocoa mineral extract, some really good electrolytes to essentially get your body hydrated first thing in the morning, especially when we are about to go and cause not muscle damage, but we're about to get some blood moving in the gym. You want to make sure that your joints are well lubricated and that you've been hydrated from the night before. So I did just have a full shaker worth of that, along with the Systol Max, which I've spoken in the past. Citrulline is going to promote blood flow, nitric oxide uptake through the blood, which is absolutely fantastic for blood flow and overall pumps. Even though pumps are quite limited at the moment, that's why I also had my injectable L-carnitine first thing fasted. But essentially, a pre-workout stack, I just did have my round of morning subs, but I didn't film it. So this is just essentially T3, a probiotic, and I also had some L-theanine as well. So in the pre-workout stack, at the moment, caffeine has been reduced for this week just to help again reduce stress levels and fatigue. It will bump up towards the end of the week, but at the moment it's at 300 milligrams. So we will use a relatively lower stim pre-workout, just one scoop of, this is actually almost run out. So it looks like we might use the Focus Max, another product by Strom, which is fantastic. So this has got 250 megs caffeine in it. So this will probably be the only form of caffeine that I have today, unless I have like a small energy drink as well. So we will do one serving of this. And then with that, we'll add some more citrulline. So another pump product. And I'm not affiliated with any brands at the moment, guys. I just essentially get whatever I think is good. This actually here, Chaotic Pump by Madhouse Innovations. Again, it's a non-stim, but it's got, another 6 grams of citrulline in it, alpha GPC, agmatine, a bit more potassium. So again, overall hydration. This was actually on special. It was like $10. So expiring pre-workouts are fantastic to get a hold of. They don't really expire. They just have to have labels on them. So a little hack for you guys. When you're shopping around for supplements and you have as many as I do here, and this is only part of my little collection, you'll realize when you can save a buck, take advantage of it and do it, because when you're using as much as bodybuilders use, try and save money where you can. So with that, creatine. Now with creatine, I don't skip out on the quality, so I always get CreaPure. So I'll either use the Strom one or I'll use another brand which has got the German pharmaceutical grade creatine in it. Number one, because it mixes really well. CreaPure being one of the most tested versions of creatine. It's the most studied supplement in the world, and especially more recently, the research has actually shown that even up to 20 grams a day usage has been found to promote anti-dementia symptoms, which is really good for overall brain and cognitive function. And something that I've actually noticed is the more creatine I've been using, the more I've been actually able to keep my brain functioning properly, keep focused during prep, which is fantastic. So I have noticed a difference. It's not placebo. So if you're someone that is not using creatine, whether you train or not, use it, because the benefits, honestly, are fantastic. Last but not least, we're just going to use a pinch of salt as well. Now, this is all my salt that's weighed out for the day. So At the moment, I am using about 5 grams total. So whatever goes in here, and then the rest will be spread out between all my meals. And that's pretty much it for that shaker. And then intra, because we are fat loading for the first few days of this peak week, there's no carbs going in here, just another scoop of essentially electrolytes, EAAs, call them whatever you want. I do usually add some extra EAAs. However, my protein is slightly lower at the moment, and essential amino acids are essentially just made up of protein. So I won't be using these now. Plus the fact that we are doing a bit of a deload as well. There's no need for me to just be using extra supplements for the sake of it, especially when training intensity isn't where it is at the beginning of prep, or like it is in the off season. So we'll just be doing another sort of scooping a little bit of this, and that is essentially our pre-workout stack. So if you've already noticed, I've already had 700 mils worth of water, plus another 700, plus another 700. So we're looking at pretty much over 2 liters of water, and I'll have all this drunk before 10 o'clock in the morning. So when it comes to hydration, guys, minimum 3 liters of water per day. I know a lot of people, especially a lot of my clients, when they severely underdrink or they're not hydrating themselves properly, they will get bloated, they will not lose weight quickly, they'll get headaches. Simple things like flavoring your water. Another thing I've spoken about in the past is using sugar-free cordial-like diet, right? Is an easy hack to make sure that you are getting enough fluid throughout the day. If you're not getting enough fluid throughout the day, your body is not performing at optimum level. Remember, your body's made over 70% of water. If you're depriving that of those nutrients and that hydration, you will suffer from it, trust me. So prioritize it, make sure that you're drinking enough fluid throughout the day. Put salt in your fluid as well, a mix of iodized salt. So something like this, Himalayan rock salt, is going to be fantastic. We're actually going to put a little bit in here, just a couple of cracks. It's going to be very good for overall electrolyte balance and hydration. So that's our pre-workout stack done. We will see you guys at the gym. Back at World Gym Moore Park, one of our home gyms. Now, we've got the peak week sheet out here for this week. So we call it a conservative backload. That's what my coach calls it. So essentially we've got push, legs, upper, and arms. So more pump sessions, just trying to drive a bit of volume and a bit of blood into the muscle. Nothing too extreme. Tempo is actually a lot quicker as well. So we're not trying to grow here, we're just trying to stimulate blood flow. First up with push, we've got a couple of tricep exercises, cross body tricep extension, a couple of chest exercises, and a lateral raise. So essentially I'm restricted to that sort of 50% reps in reserve. So nothing too crazy, but like I said, just getting the work done, making sure that we are emphasizing recovery and fatigue management, because that's what these last few days are about. In saying that, I am actually really happy to be here today. I know that last time I was extremely fatigued, but I think adrenaline is kind of starting to take over at this point, which is good, because I'm really learning to lean into the prep and just essentially be present and enjoy these last few days leading up to the show. So that's the beauty of peak week. All the hard work is pretty much done. It's just about relaxing out, getting the shit that's necessary done, and seeing it through. Crack on with this, take you through the exercises. It's actually harder for me to pull back because I feel good this morning, which is weird, but I want to train to failure, but I'm restricted, so I've got to learn when to stop. Maybe it's because I'm training fasted. It's weird. I never train fasted, by the way. I always train after at least 2 meals, usually with some carbohydrates, but I think we're just running off caffeine and adrenaline at the moment, so it's good. I'm not going to complain. It means that getting through today will be easy compared to usual, but definitely not complaining, it's good. So 2 tricep exercises back to back pretty much. I've actually got a bit of a pump. I think it was from the Orkana team, which is fantastic. Not going to complain about that. The fact that we are still able to get a pump during peak week when we're essentially fat loading is a win in itself. So Gonna carry on with this. Got one more set left on triceps, and then we've got some chest work. The temptation to go really heavy on this is always there because it's probably one of my favorite, if not favorite, chest movements. But this is where we have to remember that exercising self-control and realizing that we don't want to get injured, especially being at body fat levels this low. Tempo has also increased slightly as well, so we are doing things a little bit faster just because the longer you sit in that stretch, which is how traditional training is done. That's how you grow, by the way. You make sure that you are controlling the eccentrics, really sitting in that stretch. In any normal training scenario, that's exactly how I would train, but I'm purposely quickening up the tempo here because, like I said, we're just trying to drive blood into that muscle. We're not going to cause any adaptations this close to a show, so there's no point potentially risking injury, especially considering some of the compounds that we are using. So things like stanozol, it's known to dry your joints out. You don't want to be risking injury at this body fat percentage. So essentially just a couple of pump sets. We'll still hit a decently heavy weight, but nothing too crazy. And then hit it, move on. So we've got 2 chest exercises, 2 sets of this, pec deck, followed by shoulders, a bit of posing, and then that'll be a wrap on today's push session. That didn't feel too bad actually. Like I said, I'm surprised we got a punch, but it's good. I think the faster tempo helps a little bit too, but definitely feeling okay, which is good, which is good. So we just got done our first push session for peak week. Now, as I said, it was actually pretty good, so I did enjoy that session. But to essentially give you guys a bit of a rundown of how peak week is going to be planned. So essentially yesterday, my coach, flex coach George Wilson, sent me over the peak sheet. So essentially that just plans out the whole week. It is subject to change, obviously, depending on how scale weight responds, how visuals look. But what we've got in plan is to fat load for the first 4 days. So as I mentioned, I did wake up this morning at 90.9, so I'm just within the weight cap of the 90s, but we want to obviously try and pull further under that so then we can feed into the show and have a bit of fullness and pop. So with the posing that I just did then that I'll put up, you guys would have seen that I still look quite flat. Now, we're supposed to be still flat because we haven't really reached the point where we're feeding or topping up on that many carbohydrates. So it is still going to be a bit of a slog from a dietary perspective for the next few days, at least until Friday when we start getting a few more carbs in. But the plan pretty much is fat load today until Thursday, 4 days, and then Friday, Saturday we'd run as a refeed. Saturday is official rego day, and it's going to be a tricky one because I have to actually tan at 8:30 in the morning and rego is at 11. So getting food in, hopefully I weigh a lot under the cap so I can actually eat Saturday morning. Otherwise I'll be starving until I actually weigh in. So it's going to be interesting. That's why these next few days things are subject to change. But it's all part of the fun, I guess. This is what we prepare for. It's just another part of learning to adapt to situations where, as long as I know that I'm doing everything in my control, that's all that matters at the end of the day. So I'm super stoked with the amount of support that I've received, obviously from, all my family, my friends, from you guys as well, who have been watching the channel and keeping up to date with me, which is really good to see. So keep showing me the love. If you guys do like this style of content, then be sure to drop a comment below. Tell me what you want to see more of as well. But that is essentially how peak week will go. So I will show you some meals, but I do have an appointment at 10 o'clock. So we probably won't get to film breakfast until then. That appointment, by the way, is I'm going to the solarium, so I'm completely transparent with you guys. I like to get as tanned as possible so I don't have to use as much of the tanning product that they use, because it does stick to your skin. It's uncomfortable, it makes you sweat. Any of you bodybuilders out there that know, especially if you're naturally pasty, which I actually am, I know I look pretty dark now, but that's because I have been going to the solarium just to help get that tanning process a bit faster, so I don't have to have as heavy of a layer of a coat of the spray tan, because it is uncomfortable. It gets all over your bed sheets, gets all over your clothes. If you are a first-time competitor, make sure that you are wearing very loose clothing, preferably an old shirt, one that you don't care about getting stained. Don't wear long socks like I'm wearing now, because they will get ruined. Make sure that you wear shit old clothes, because I made the mistake 2 years ago of wearing my black Gasp oversized tee, which, as you know, is a very expensive activewear brand. It's a very expensive brand. Especially shipping out to Australia, and I've got tan all over it still until this day. So that is my dedicated tanning shirt. Although this year I will be running the Flex Success uniform because I'm representing the guys that coach me. So, but I do have the old shirt. I'm not going to wear the new one because that's also Gasp and I don't want to ruin it. But yeah, pro tip for tanning, like I said, wear loose clothing. Make sure you exfoliate every day leading up until you tan, and moisturize so that way it sticks to you and you don't have to get as much. So just little things that you can do to prepare yourself to make your peak week as stress-free as possible. And apart from that, it's just rest and recovery. So we're going to get home. I will see if I can show you guys what I'm eating for today. It'll probably be after I come back from the solarium though. But aside from that, we will see you guys back at the house. And we are back. So just finished up our gym session. Had to stop over at the shop quickly to get a couple of things for both depletion and peak week. So we've got a mixture of coconut water, which we'll be using to carb up later on throughout the week. I love this stuff, honestly. It helps with hydration. It tastes mad. Some people hate it. I love the taste of it. We also got ourselves a sugar-free Powerade, which I've been sipping on currently because electrolytes. And just some little miscellaneous stuff like lettuce that we're going to use as fillers, which I actually ran out of, so good thing I stopped past. And then you can't go without energy drinks. So the original Monster sugar-free. I do rotate between these and the white ones, but for some reason, this one's been hitting the spot recently. So the OG sugar-free Monsters, they slap hard. And we've got one of the new flavour of the V. So we've got the strawberry cream one here, which I have already tried. I do rate it. It is a solid 8.5 out of 10, which is pretty high. I'm a very harsh critic of energy drinks, so I definitely do rate that one. And we also have a supplement order that just arrived. So it actually wasn't supplements, it was something else. But anyway, I'm not going to show you guys, but it is time for meal one because it is currently just after 11. I still haven't eaten, so I am absolutely starving and I need to eat. So essentially we are running pretty much a higher fat diet over the next 4 days, like I explained to you before. So meal one is pretty much going to be 3 whole eggs, which I can't wait to eat, honestly. I've been like on one whole leg for the last how long, and then egg whites aside from that. So to have the taste of a whole egg, the fat from the egg yolk, if you're not a bodybuilder, if you haven't if you haven't experienced what it's like not to be able to eat whole eggs, then you won't know what I'm talking about. For the bodybuilders, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's just something about the texture of the fat from the egg yolk which just absolutely slaps. So meal 2 is essentially a mixture of, well, it's meant to be whey protein isolate with some dark chocolate, which I've actually turned into a bit of a Ninja Creamy. So I'll pull up my nutrition and show you guys what I'm actually eating for today. So yeah, meal 1, usually eggs. I still have the egg whites in there with 150 gram of veg and 50 gram of avocado, which I can't wait for. Lunch is going to be chicken breast and spudlight potatoes, so similar to the other stuff that you see in my full day of eating. If you haven't checked that out, both the refeed and the normal one, make sure you check them out. Pineapple, and then we have chicken breast again with shredded lettuce, which is what I just went and picked up that you saw, with another 50 grams of avocado. And then after that, what would normally be my cream of rice, obviously carbs are down to like 100 grams for the next 4 days, which is challenging, but again, part of the process. So instead of that meal, we are doing the whey isolate, like I said, with unsweetened almond milk, 20 grams of dark chocolate, and 15 grams of peanut butter, which I've actually turned into a Ninja Creamy. So I get 2 Ninja Creamies today. One will be like the sort of post-workout. Now today, obviously, because I trained fasted early, it's not our post-workout meal, it's just a snack that I'll throw in throughout the day. But normally that would be my post-workout meal. So the Ninja Creamy will replace the cream of rice. But since today we are still fasted, it will be later on throughout the day, obviously. So because we are on fairly low food, total calories are at like 2,270, somewhere there. That'll be the same for the next 4 days. Again, depending on visuals and scale weight, that is subject to change. I am doing check-ins every day at the moment with my coach. So it's always good to be prepared in case something changes, which is why I'll probably end up going to the shops daily just to pick up on little things here and there. But again, you know, we've done all the work up until this point, peak week. If you're thrown off a little bit, if you're out of schedule, it's better that you're prepared and that you need to get anything, you know, miscellaneous or whatever things you need to get them in advance, have them ready to go like I just did with the coconut water. I've got cereal, I've got bagels, I've got enough carb sources. If I need to top up, I'll simply go and top up and prepare myself to the best of my ability, because the last thing I want to do is rock up on Rego Day or on show day or when we go for 10, which you guys will come along for as well, and we don't have enough carbs, or, you know, we weigh severely under and we need to eat. Whatever the case may be, it's always better to prepare. Have my meal 1, and then we will catch you guys after. And there we have it, guys. That is essentially meal 1. So we've got our 3 whole eggs, 250 ml egg whites, our veg, our vitamins, which I've already spoken about before on this channel. Make sure you have your vitamins. And we've got our electrolytes. So I'm gonna tuck into this because, as I said, I am starving and it is now almost 11:30. So I do have some client check-ins to do as well. Monday's a pretty big day in terms of client check-ins, which I'm very grateful for. Again, when it comes to coaching, you know, this is what I do. This is what I'm passionate about. If there is anyone out there that is genuinely struggling on their journey, so for those of you who don't know, by the way, I'm not sure if I have spoken about this before on my channel or not, but I actually used to be 160 kilos. I didn't always look the way that I did. I'll pop up some photos here so you can actually see what I used to look like. It has been quite the journey. I know what it's like to be stuck, and I've essentially dedicated my life now to helping people that were in similar positions to get not only the best physique possible, but attain a new level of mentality with that, because I'm a firm believer that a transformation doesn't just stem from the physical, but it actually overlays into the mental as well. So if there is anyone out there that genuinely wants that extra help, that needs the right process by someone who's been there, then I'm gonna pop my link down below here. Check out my socials, check out my Instagram, and let's talk about getting you on a plan that's going to turn you into the best person of your life. So now that my coaching plug is done, I'm going to tuck into this and I will see you guys after. Doing our digestion walk after meal 2. So it is just after 3 o'clock and I've only had 2 meals. So I have had a very busy day. I actually had an appointment that I completely forgot about but that's prep brain for you. So I had a massage booked in at 12, and I actually got caught up doing client check-ins, and then I realized I had to go for the massage. Something that I've neglected over the probably since the beginning of my bodybuilding journey is the importance of getting tissue work. Now, I know it is another added expense, because it is, but honestly, the actual reduction of overall inflammation and what it can do for lymphatic drainage, lowering inflammation, helping bringing out that extra detail in the physique, especially when it gets close to show day, it's honestly been invaluable, and it'll help with posing as well. So I know a lot of people neglect that sort of mobility or flexibility work, but at the end of the day, when you are already investing both time and money in bodybuilding itself, that little extra 1% thing of just getting some, doesn't have to be 2-3 times a week, but at least once a week, once a fortnight, a bit of tissue work, honestly makes all the difference in the world. So I definitely needed it. It's probably the last one that I'll have done this week. It was a good 1.5 hour session, just essentially de-stressing the body, nothing extreme, like no remedial stuff, just literally more of a lymphatic drainage, and it was awesome. I fell asleep on the table, which is the first time I've been able to relax in since I can't remember when, so that was good. I would have taken you guys along to film, but because I do go to the therapist's house, who, by the way, my guy Eli, shout out, one of the best masseuses out there. So he works on a lot of bodybuilders. He's been doing it for over 15 years. Really good with his hands. He doesn't advertise publicly, so it's literally just word of mouth. That's how I found out about him, and I prefer that, because when you've got, a bunch of marketing and websites and all these people that all advertise the same thing, it's usually the ones that you don't know about who are often the best. So I'm very grateful that I was introduced to him through a friend of mine, and essentially he works magic. So knows the body very well, knows exactly where I need most of the work done for me, especially having very tight sort of hips and quads. So I think it's helped bring out a lot more detail in my quads, especially over the last few weeks, and helped with my posing a lot. So definitely not something to neglect. But as we are here doing our digestion walk, I may as well talk about my sort of current activity levels at the moment. So being peak week, obviously we want to try and reduce overall stress and inflammation. So all I'm doing is essentially just a brisk walk on literally no incline, just like 2.5 incline. Very basic, very non sort of invasive. I keep my heart rate relative, and that way it's just to get my steps in post meals. Usually what I would do is my fasted cardio, but that got pulled out literally this week, yesterday. So I was doing 15 minutes. So cardio has been tapering off for the last couple of weeks. I was initially doing Stairmaster, then it went to high incline treadmill, to now essentially just 8,000 daily steps, which for me is nothing. So if anything, I actually miss doing cardio, because I have been stuck in that routine of just knowing I get up every morning at the same time. First thing I do after I, do all my health checks and whatnot, I get straight here, hydrate, and then I'm on the treadmill doing my 20 minutes, half an hour fasted steps before I get on with my day. And now that's kind of been taken out, or I'll do a lot less time doing steps, just because I'm limited to how much I should be doing, which again is good. Like anything, we must learn to adapt, and the whole point of this week is to try and lessen inflammation as much as possible, still get our steps in, but it's more about the recovery aspect. So at the moment I am only doing 8,000 total steps. So far I think I've only done 5,000. So yeah, it is still just before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so we will definitely get our 8,000 done by then, but I will delay it as much as possible so I can leave it after meals, just especially since we are fat loading. It is a bit different to what I'm usually used to. So I think saving the steps post meals will definitely help with aiding in digestion and just helping those bowel movements along and whatnot without giving you guys TMI. But yeah, everything that I'm doing now is essentially to promote digestion. Obviously still, help the scales move along, and to promote long-term cardiovascular health. And not just that, guys, one thing that I know a lot of people seem to neglect, especially in modern bodybuilding, is the need for cardio just in prep. As soon as prep finishes, everyone stops doing their cardio, they stop doing their walks, and they won't bring it back in until they're in prep again. Whereas if you want to bodybuild for a long time, if you want to be healthy in general, I think you should be doing minimum 10,000 steps daily regardless of what your goal is. So I definitely have all my clients doing 10,000 steps at a minimum, or at least we try to get to that as a goal, to the point where it becomes second nature. And I think that's the most important thing for overall cardiovascular health, especially in bodybuilding, when we are literally pushing our bodies to the extreme every single day, 365 days a year. In the off season, when food is very high, if anything, being active and keeping that blood moving and keeping that food moving and digesting, doing steps or doing some form of, cardiovascular activity is extremely important, because otherwise you won't be able to get as much food down, you'll be limiting how much you can eat, your appetite will suppress, and you won't be able to grow. So, and as we all know, or as we should know, the off season is where the majority of the gains is actually made. For me, off season, especially now having gone through my second season, I'll be treating it as an extension of prep. To a lot of people, this may seem extreme, but given where I want to take this sport and how far I wish to pursue bodybuilding, I want to try and be the best damn bodybuilder that I know I can be. And that means turning up every day, doing the same things on repeat, no excuses, and just going about the life of essentially what a pro bodybuilder does, which is turn up every day regardless of how they feel. And there's a reason why the pros stay pros and why they continue to work harder than everyone else, because that's just what it takes. And I think if you are a young aspiring bodybuilder like myself, an amateur who doesn't have that much experience in the sport, getting these habits locked in early on in your career is probably going to be the most advantageous thing, because when you get to those pro ranks, hopefully, if you have the genetics, if I have the genetics, I've got no idea, but knowing that I'm certainly doing everything in my power to try and maximize that chance of that happening, you're only, going to prove yourself, or you're only going to increase those chances of that actually becoming a reality. Because a lot of people will talk about it, they will dream, but very few are willing to put the work in to actually get there. So that's my word of advice to any new up and coming people that wish to compete or are thinking to compete. Make sure that you have your habits locked in early on. Make sure that you have been on top of an actual nutrition plan and a training plan for a consistent amount of time before even deciding to undergo any form of contest prep or a proper structured off season. Because if you don't have what it takes to do that, then prep, it's another ball game. It's challenging. And you got to remember too, not everything goes right. Things go wrong. I've had a few things go wrong. I've had a lot of changes that I've had to adapt to recently. But just like with everything in life, we must lean into adversity and realize that it is during these hard times that we are willing to put ourselves through, and you have to be willing to do that. That's when you'll learn. That's the character building moments. So, as I said, make sure you nail the basics first, get good at them, do them for a long time, and then you slowly build up on that.